And I'm going to officially start the monthly call of May for the OCP Regional Project Community here in Europe. I want to start discussing the May agenda. Of course, this is the welcome section of it, but then we will have Fragile Group with Massimiliano Della Armelina discussing about heat rejection on AI and heat reuse. Then we will have Circle B on updates on the OCP Dutch ecosystem. Then we will have Erwan Velu with Prem Day providing us a recap of the Prem Day event and the discussions about OCP adoption in that event. And then to tie it up, we will have Kaylee Burdett, our Senior Director of Global Events, providing a recap of the 2026 OCP EMEA Summit and what we have, what we are looking for 2027. And then we will close the call with the usual agenda items, Europe updates, and then open it up with a bit of discussion and Q&A. So without further ado, I want to give the floor to Massimiliano Della Armelina with Fragile Group. So feel free, Massi, to unmute yourself and start. Please let me know when you want me to pass the slide.
To switch. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, and happy to be here today. And my name is Massimiliano. You can call me Max. It's easier for everyone. This is quite a long name. Who is Frigel? Frigel is a company based in Italy. We have basically started almost more than 60 years ago, providing what we call intelligent process cooling solution. And we focus most of the time always on the industry where mission critical cooling is a matter. And from process, from beverage, from automotive business, and heat rejection in data centers, the latest business that we built in the company, and we focused almost 10 years ago. Florence and Padua are the two headquarters in Italy, plus another 5 factories around the world. We have 500 people, over 100 engineers passionate for designing solution or engineering solution, with the 2 thermal labs that are based in Italy for doing all the experimental and customer test for our equipment. Yeah, you can go to the next. Yeah, as I said before, we develop a solution. We act more as a technical consultant with the customer in order to design together and optimize the process, optimize, let's say, the performance of the customer. We focus always on a sustainability matter. So we develop in the last, let's say, 25 years, all the possible technology that was capable to reduce water consumption, optimize energy saving, and as a consequence of that, we focus on how to increase capability or production capability for customer by using modularity and by using, let's say, a modular approach, in all design that we do. We are able to design together with the customer from the beginning to, let's say, site installation of our equipment. Our equipment is basically, we do everything that is close to heat rejection. So chiller system integrated with the dry cooler, adiabatic solution, and all this kind of process or equipment coordinated by control, by all access, so that around pump system and so on. So all the, let's say, hydronic loop can be provided by our, let's say, by our solution. Good. Okay. Next. Today, and this is what we presented in Barcelona, is the latest solution that we develop in order to meet the new demand coming very much in force in Europe, which is about heat reuse. Heat reuse from our side is about, let's say, to develop a chiller which has a double functionality, capability, and this mission critical of a chiller to produce chilled water constantly in order to keep a data center all up and running at a constant temperature. And at the same time, instead of rejecting or wasting heat, reuse it to deploy it in district heating or any process which require hot water. The hot water that we produce is about, let's say, up to 95 degree, 97 degree temperature, which allowed the solution to be directly, let's say, connected to, for instance, district heating network, the pipeline in that respect, or the process which require, let's say, to warm some other process in beverage, greenhouse, for instance, a fish farm, and so on. So this is the two things. We can do both at the same time. So 1 megawatt cooling, 1 megawatt heat, and we can regulate it. If you just move to the next, yeah. On the left side, this is what we presented, the modular chiller, which can be built in block, and in order to reach whenever capacity is required. We can do a staging logic at the same time. So we are based on the demand, we provide the chilled water to the data center and hot water to district heating or the purpose. And we regulate the amount of heat that is recalled by the network by, let's say, staging the module itself. So providing both capability or one of them or half of, let's say, or percentage of this, let's say, demand. And this can be done regularly, continually on a daily basis. But say that this say also that we have built a redundancy embedded into the modular concept. So you can do redundancy by adding module instead of adding chillers in that respect, which make more compact and more, let's say, optimized, let's say, the backlog and the footprint that you have in the data center. And this is a, let's say, possibility to be done by, let's say, air-cooled chiller or water-cooled chiller as we design on that respect. And yeah, basically, this is, let's say, the last two slides. So why I'm joining today, the reason, I mean, honestly, I was expecting for quite a long time to participate on that. I see OCP as let's say, a very, let's say, working group or, let's say, area where you can, first of all, discuss with people. There's quite an open discussion on the technical level, and also, let's say, sharing information in this respect. There is a very much willing to collaborate and connect each other. There is no, let's say, the first things here is not to sell, but is to share information and try to develop the community in the same direction. It's very much transparent, I would say. I've been in this OCP several times, and I see a very much transparent communication between the different people. And yeah, there is quite a lot of knowledge that is movement, is, let's say, in the discussion, and the people wanted, let's say, to share what we know, what they know. And the innovation, I think that where Frigge is very much interested is, let's say, we continue to try to innovate a solution to differentiate let's say, what can be done differently. And we see in OCP, these are quite pretty good, let's say, area, pretty good, let's say, ambient where Frigge can contribute in that aspect. And what I just presented with this new chillers is about an innovation solution which tried to fit what was missed. We want to collaborate in OCP in heat rejection project because these are, let's say, major area of interest, and especially in the direction of AI and heat reuse, how we can maximize or optimize, let's say, the utilization let's say, the new design data center for AI and how to reuse heat in the different proposals. And the same time, since, let's say, there's a lot of discussion on temperature that are rising continuously, we see quite an interest argument in relation to a single loop. So instead of having several stages to pass heat from a server to rejection and different loop, we are working together with some other partner to create one single loop, optimizing this, let's say, this solution and reduce and simplify, let's say, the technology behind that. And this is very much fitting also with the new heat export capability that we see in that area. Yeah, I think that this was my last very briefly introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, Massimiliano. I believe that we can open a couple of minutes of questions here.
Okay.
So feel free to chime in. Okay, Seinat, I'm seeing that you raised your hand. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Yes, my first question out just your technology. For example, and what's your possibility to coordination on different sites, and what's your possibility to including in your shelter out maritime shipping, maritime container? What's your possibility to include your technology, or it's very difficult and about your visions of the free cooling, liquid cooling actions? Just a new question for me. For me, and to develop you I run shelter, I run shipping container to use this to develop machine in artificial intelligence with network in 5G and next preparatory and 6G. Just an information and question for you. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. And yeah, basically the solution with developer is also pretty much agile in that respect. It can be also, let's say, containerized into container or shelter in that respect. Since it's modular, we can do the modular approach also in let's say, disconnecting what is, let's say, the free cooling part, let's say, the dry cooling in respect to the chiller part. So chiller part can be containerized into a shelter, into a closed box, and remote the remaining, let's say, the free cooling or the heat rejection system away in another place and connecting and piping all together. I know if I'm answering on your question. And this is what we are doing with some project here in Europe. So we containerize the machine and we reject it or we move heat from, let's say, from the container to, let's say, different utilization or different usage.
Okay, thank you, Massimiliano. So thank you, Massimiliano. We're going to move then to Circle B with Ivan.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Oh, yeah, sorry, absolutely. Go ahead, please.
Sorry, Max. Three questions. Now, this is Joe here. 3 questions from my end, if it's okay. What is the maximum capacity that you can deliver out of your chillers? That is the first question. And second would be, if you said you can have heat reuse both from an air-cooled and a water-cooled chiller. Water-cooled, I can understand, but from an air-cooled point of view, how much is or a rough estimate of how much heat capacity that you can gain out of the chillers? And then the last question would be, from a regional point of view, which region are you guys seeing the most requests for heat reuse? I believe it's mostly Germany, but is there any other regions that you're seeing a huge amount of requests for this? Thank you.
Okay. Let me answer from the last one. So today we are pretty much, say, see demand, and we are working with the engineering house and customer, Nordic country. All the Scandinavian areas pretty much already in on that, since they have a quite a large district heating deployed in the country. There is France, there is Germany, there is Netherlands on the way. We see also here north of Italy. And this is very much driven, first of all, from also, there is let's say a new regulation, no new regulation, but guideline coming in Europe, which support the demand or the need to at least consider heat reuse when you design a new data center, which is above 1 megawatt design. So you need to evaluate opportunity to consider the heat export in your design phase and how to use it. And the country that was mentioned are pretty much already advanced in that respect. So, and where we see the major request from now. Second, the first question about the capacity is a modular capacity, so we can go up to whenever we want, but each every module is capable for at least 200 kilowatt, and you can build a train of module, connect all together, which can be 10 in sequence. So basically you are having a modular train chiller for about 2 megawatt, let's say, in that respect. And then you do multiple in parallel modular train in that respect to build up the overall cooling capacity.
Sorry, Massimiliano, I need to cut you. I'm very sorry. I will send you the email of Joe's email, sure, so you can move this offline.
This was the last point. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry because we have a very packed agenda today. Yeah. So Ivan, you are up next. So whenever you want.
Hello everyone, guys. So Ivan here from Circle B. So let me just give you maybe a refresher. Some people might have heard of Circle B. So yes. Okay. So who is Circle B? So Circle B, we are the company slightly younger than Friesel, established in 2012, but we have been the first European OCP solution provider since the Meta introduced the standard in 2011. Right now, Circle B, we are part of Taurus Group. So Taurus is an IT component distributor, as well as effectively offering all the solutions and services related to the hardware. So we are that system integration arm, focusing on OCP first solutions, and we one of the kind of large promoters of OCP inside EMEA, and are positioning us from a perspective of we design, source, build, validate, and deliver the solutions to the customers. Of course, everywhere with OCP, it is about hyperscale, because that's the largest efficiencies, but where we also operate, we want to work with the companies who are not operating gigafactories, but we can tailor the solutions based on the needs of the customer, being that in ad tech, being that in cloud service providers, being that in the manufacturing, but somebody who can still derive the benefit of OCP and still without operating on a giant scale. So we are based in Europe, in the Netherlands. The headquarters of the Circle B, as well as the group, is close by Amsterdam, Hoofddorp. Those people who are familiar with the geography of the Netherlands. But we do deliver the solutions globally, so we are not restricted to a specific region. And then actually, that's where we are piggybacking on our group expertise. If we can go to the next slide. So, as I mentioned before, Taurus Group is a component distributor. So right now, everybody who is with an AI boom, with the largest deployment, you probably know that there is a very large scarcity in the market when it comes to components. Talk about DRAM and CPUs. So Circle B is uniquely positioned in that way, that where we can actually help people who are looking to adopt and implement OCP to not only build everything what goes to build a data center, but also actually run it, putting the compute, storage, networking, AI there. And why it's mattering for the OCP? Because with the innovation goes so fast that and the changes are so deep, so that not having the right partner is extremely important to do this. Plus, when you have a cutting edge or bleeding edge solution, and you need to test specific configuration, you need to do maybe verification or maybe a certification of certain designs. That's considering OCP is already based on a hyperscale, but we are able to deliver those solutions and deliver components as a part of Taurus Group. And then with our capabilities, we can actually do a very modular design. We are a built-to-order company, and I think being in this industry for quite a while, it is also part of the education. And many people who work in smaller companies, like it is important for them to define that the benefit of OCP, the standards of openness, of collaboration, start when people are still working in non-hyperscale companies. So this is part of our mission, especially being a Dutch company, to provide to create one validated design based on these capabilities. And then some other updates from our side, I think. So as a part of our expansion plans, so Taurus Group, we recently just moved into a new facility. It's about 5,500 square meters for Taurus Group companies, including a large warehouse. The image what you see here is AI generated. Again, we just need to make the note here, but it will look close to this. We are aiming to make it as good as such. So this is our base of operations, where we can offer OCP community ability to do hardware validation, do fulfillment, sampling, testing, logistics, and of course, as Massimiliano said before, we are here to collaborate. And for example, OCP EMEA Summit was one of the things we do already see some potential traction for collaboration, which is great. So then, as a part of the expansion, Circle B being the integral part of Taurus Group, so we also going to be providing an experience center where it will be directly here in our headquarters. And this is kind of echoing back to what I mentioned before, is OCP is a lot about promotion, it's about evangelism. So for any customers, partners who would be visiting our locations, or if somebody who would like to see the collaboration, we want to display how OCP plays, has its space in a AI infrastructure in the ecosystem, and how there will be a combination not only of the hardware but also of the software stacks. So, and just to kind of also explain a bit on the software. So another company in our group, Cluster Vision, we already committed to OCP community, how you say, the HPC manager called TrinityX. So we also contributing back and giving back to the community being here. So from our side, that's how we see the development. It is about community. It is about working together, and hopefully with these actions, we able to welcoming collaboration on solution validations for customers, for the partners, because we have giving our strong supply chain focus and ability to deliver, we can actually provide these type of capabilities. And therefore, the upcoming experience center, I think it also would be good if there is an interest to showcase OCP focused collaborations. What we can do, we are welcoming also to discuss this further as we are still furnishing. It's still being built. I mean, we are just a month in. The racks are still being installed, but we will do a more of an official opening. There will be more communication, probably around Q3 this year. We'll welcome also the OCP partners, customers. But I think if there is interest to kind of display different solutions, we can already start the conversation now. And yeah, of course, any questions?
The experience center is in Denmark too, right?
Excuse me?
The experience center you were showing is based in Denmark, right?
No, it is in the Netherlands, in Hoofddorp, in our office here.
In Netherlands.
Hoofddorp is like maybe 15-minute drive from Amsterdam. It's close to the airport, so it's also a strategic location from the delivery,
Great.
again, being a distributor.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
So Niels,
I need to say. Sorry, go ahead.
I saw Niels unmuted, but I'm not sure if there was a question.
Niels? Okay. I don't think so.
Sorry, my
Oh,
I
there you
was
go.
just kicking around. I had no question. Sorry, guys.
Okay. So thank you so much, Ivan. We are very happy to see that the ecosystem is growing, and that includes Circle B. So we will be supportive of the experience center activities, and we are looking forward to work very closely with you to make that happen and to integrate this into the existing network of experience centers.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you, Raul.
Thank you. So we are moving on to our invited speaker today, coming from Criteo and coming from the Prem Day event that was celebrated last week in France. So Prem Day is a great event that, let's say, unifies the ecosystem, and where there's a huge deal of OCP discussion in there. And this is why we decided to invite Erwan to provide a recap. So welcome, Erwan, and take it off whenever you want.
Yeah, thank you, Raul, for inviting me in this event. So it's a great opportunity to show what Prem Day is about. So the Prem Day is a user group at the beginning, and the concept was we are several infrastructure owners that were interested to regroup ourselves to first having technical discussions. I mean, sharing expertise, sharing tips and knowledge. And the second part was creating a conference where we can share this content with our hardware providers. Yeah, next slide. And on this edition of the 2026 conference that happened last week, we had the pleasure to be sponsored by 29 different sponsors, and you probably all know all these companies. And something which is very interesting is the Open Compute project have been supporting us since the beginning. It's only the third edition, but since the beginning have been helping us. Having the support of the OCP community was really important for us to show the interest of this type of approach, especially since for us, we are mid-sized infrastructures, I would say. We are not hyperscalers, and we find out that OCP is a bit too big, sorry, for us. The scale that OCP is trying to target is not our scale. And having this group of similar size company help us to amortize the amount of energy we need to manage our infrastructures and to make them progress. Next slide, please. So what's new in the PREM-DAY project? First, we have been creating an association. So we have now a social entity. We can being sponsored directly from the vendors up to directly to the association. It's a French association, a non-profit one. And with some of the money we've been collecting, we decided to create an open source fund. And our concept is to show to our audience what type of open source project we do consider as the key ones, the one we want to support. And through this open source fund, the first three projects, that we will support this year will be on the left side of things, StressNG, which is a system stressor and also a Linux kernel tester. We have Kernel Recipes, which is a Linux kernel conference that takes place in Paris every single year, and Firmware Update LBFS, the project you probably all know, to manage the firmware distribution and installation. For us, as a group of more than 15 different infrastructure owners, that was the first three projects we wanted to support. Next. And a part of the talk, we had 19 talks. We had the chance of having 2 panels. The first panel was this one with the C-level from Criteo, Proton, Scaleway, and Equinix. And the concept that was the opening talk, and the idea was to make them discuss and give their insight around 3 main topics. The first one was the supply chain crisis. The second one was about the monopoly around AI. And the last one was about how do we interact with our vendors and hardware providers. So I will not get in details here. We'll share the recording soon, but the idea was to provide a high-level overview of what these 4 companies, which are these 3 companies, Scaleway, Proton, and Criteo, from the user group, in addition of Equinix, sees on the market. And then on the next slide, we had also a second panel on the second day, where we had the chance to welcome 4 different figures from different main, very well-known people from the open source communities to speak about open firmware, because for the user group, it's one of the main topics we would love to make some progress. So we had Paul Grimes with OpenShield from AMD, Jean-Marie Verdun from HP, representing also OCP, Richard Hughes, representing LBFS from AMD, and Christian Walter, which is leading the open source firmware conference and foundation, and working also on 911. So we had a couple of questions around what are the key innovation around open source firmware and what it could provide to us, the infrastructure owners. We had also one question around what are the impact of EU CRA. It's a new European legislation to see what are the impact. On the last one was about what firmware should be open first. So we had this discussion with this panel. One more time, I will share the videos when they will be available, probably in 2 weeks. But the main concept here was to have insight from open source leaders around firmware topics. We had also, so let me just share the key highlights before. Oh, no, it's okay. You can continue. Let me share a key highlights from this year conference and before speaking about what is OCP specific. First, around directly calling, a call from the user group was to ask for more standardization from the vendor to ease the integration in Curlos. Because what we found out is when we are entering Curlos, from every single Curlo is different, from different vendors is different, about the temperature, about the piping, all this stuff. And we said it should be much more easier. So please, vendors, speak with Curlos and make stuff being as easy as install as a Hercule rack, because it's too much work on our side, to make this happen. On the optics, we had a nice presentation from Fastly presenting the SWK connectors. Honestly, I never saw that before. It's a fiber connecting system that is the cleaning of the fibers, and so it improves the availability and the ease of debugging fiber connections. Honestly, it was a discovery and it was a blast. And on the supply chain, obviously, we made, and you will see the numbers in the presentation, the user group made some feedbacks to the audience, explaining what is our reasoning regarding the price, the increase of the prices, and the consequence on the way we are buying hardware. And the synthesis of that is we are all close to be cash out. The prices are increasing so much that we cannot continue in this way. Another main highlight, and it's a common statement in the beginning, so for the 3 past years, the firmware matters a lot for us. We are pushing for having open source firmware, typically OpenBMC. We had several discussions around that, especially on the security side of things. And we are having a look at Canopy BMC, which is a project led by NanoElements, trying to help the OEMs to make open source BMCs. We had a Sonic presentation that was very interesting. The Brande user group decided to make a single point of contact to help anyone interested in Sonic by sharing our resources. We are using them in production, and we wanted to share all the knowledge we have, open sourcing tooling we are using internally to manage the switches, a list of hardware compatible systems on all this stuff. So it's really a main achievement for this year is to help vendors and future users to know who to contact if you want information. And the last call was through having more support from the vendors on the firmware distribution and installation, so through LVFS on firmware.d. Next. So about the OCP adoption, honestly, in the user group, Scaleway is probably the most advanced regarding OCP adoption. So they've been presenting their experience around co-designing ORV3 solutions. And the main feedbacks were they were showing their experience on designing such, and they said that the most important stuff for them is having an interactive loop with the vendors. So you are able to very quickly define spec, having a common bug tracker to be on phase with the vendor, and having a daily collaboration not to lose anything, and very early prototyping to avoid going too far before having issues. So that was one main topic, having this quick interaction. The second one was the final product for them is very interesting. It's very cheaper than the competition. And speaking about the competition, is their hosting competition. And they made up a very attractive product based on Epic 4005. The product was sold out very quickly, so it's a very nice product for them. And they mentioned that the adoption internally from inside Scaleway to this new type of chassis on product was really accelerated thanks to OpenBMC, because they already had the support for OpenBMC. So for them, having a new hardware type was so much easier in their workflows. The last items they mentioned, what could be improved to make their life easier is to help them on the lead time and supply chain, because that means deferring part of this work to them. The reporting model is not yet really clear for them either, and how to manage the spare parts. This is the areas where they would love to get some improvement and to ease their experience around OCP. Next. And the last part for me, almost, we are more members, more infra owners interested in moving to OCP. I'm used to say that we are believers, but partially using it. Typically, one of the main issues we have is the colos. The colos are difficult to move on the ORV3 form factors because of the weight, because of the bus bar, because of many things. They say, oh, we never tried, we don't know. It's difficult for us to open doors in Colo to this type of racks. We also feel that the racks are usually on the product also are very oriented towards compute. So typically for a company like Criteo, this is causing us issues because we are used to manage racks by mixing server types. having in the same rack compute I/O storage. And today, it's very difficult to achieve that, especially in DLC configurations. So for us, it's a limiting factor. And also, we wanted also to share that for small actors, because we do consider ourselves as pretty small in the OCP world, it's difficult to get samples. You have to buy everything if you want to test anything. This is not what we are doing today on 19 inches. The minimum of quantities when you want to validate a product, whatever, is 100 pieces at minimum or something like that. So you are overbuying what you want to just to try and to discover. And the last item is the offering is a bit fragmented. An example here, you can buy PowerShells, but that's all without the cables. And if you want to buy the cables, they cannot, on some other vendors, they cannot be bought without the PowerShell. So how do you manage this? Should I make the production of specific cables and all this stuff? So sometimes a little detail like that is causing us issues. Next. And the call for action for us, so there is different, I would say, audience for the OCP world. We feel sometimes that the topic which are discussed inside OCP are too far from our daily experience. Typically, speaking about open concrete or stuff like that, just for the joke, but for us, it's so much far in the space. So we have sometimes difficulties for us to recognize ourselves in these topics. For the colors, the call for action is please open doors to Open Rack S3 and DLC cooling. This is what really we would love to get on production. For the mid-size infra owners, if you are part of an infra owners, please join us if you want. If what we are seeing here makes sense for you, the more infra owner will be, the easier it will be for us to make our voice being listened. And for us, there is also a call for action for the Prem Day user group ourselves. We have also to self-structure ourselves to get a single voice when we are speaking about topics. Typically on ORS3, we should have a common ground on being able to be readable from anyone to say, oh, okay, when the Prem Day user group is asking for ORS3, here comes the requirement, here comes the vision on all this stuff. And obviously, between the OCP and the Prem Day user group, we would love, it's part of our roadmap to find out a way to get some bridges onto alliances between the user group from Prem Day, which is really mid-sized companies, and the OCP ecosystem. It's one of the steps we would love to achieve. The group has to be stronger to be able to sustain this workload, because working with OCP will take time. But it's really part of the vision for us to organize ourselves to be able to sustain this type of activities. And thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Any questions?
Forgot to mention that we had also one OCP talk, obviously, from James. That was much appreciated, also to the insight on updates on OCP project.
Ivan here from Circle V, and I just wanted to echo what you said about the mid-sized player, because it's indeed a difficulty to get inside the colos. It's the pain points what you raised as a part of the Prem Day is exactly what we also see as a system integrator when we try to help the customers to get inside the OCP, and the topics what are being discussed is also a bit quite far ahead. So I think it would be good maybe to connect just after this call. Because we see exactly the same issues, and I'd love to be part of this, because it seems exactly what we're also facing, even as a system integrator.
Yeah, clearly we see we are a bit dephased between what the colos are providing and what we are requesting. Typically, DLC is another topic. When you are asking DLC, it can be done, but it's difficult. It's not the mainstream. It's not the main way of thinking. So we have to break the barriers to get through DLC. So getting into ORS3 is even much more complicated.
Then
so
the question what you raised about a combination between compute, storage, I/O, for example, the other things. So yeah, OCP, especially with the AI now, it's because of the hyperscale demand, it's it going into one direction, largely driven by NVIDIA design, and then ODMs following the same way. But then for the mid-size, where the workloads are a bit more versatile or need a bit more flexibility, that's where you start looking around and you understand there are certain limiting factors.
Yes.
Either there have been good solutions in the past, but they are no longer supported.
This is our feeling. I mean, OCP
Yeah.
is really driven by the big ones, and for us, which are mid-size, it's very difficult to cope with this vision because it's out of our scale. I mean, it's not reachable in any way. So the vision that is sometimes supported by OCP for us is difficult to self-organize ourselves, and this is why we wanted to create this under project to be able to share and discuss with smaller ones that feels that having the same issues. I mean, when you have 10, 15, 50 kilowatts on the rack, you have the same issues. So it's easier for us to communicate and to find out solutions. When we are discussing with people speaking about megawatts per rack, for us it's gigantic. I mean, it's
no, exactly. I think I would be more happy just to continue the conversation just down the line, because I want to understand maybe.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ivan, for chiming in. We need to move to the next one. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Next up is Kaylee Burdett, our Senior Director of Global Events, providing a recap of the OCP EMEA Summit. So, Kaylee, are you in?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep, absolutely. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for your time today. We just wanted to give you a quick overview of the EMEA Summit we just had 2 weeks ago in Barcelona. We had quite a jump in registrations from last year in Dublin. I did a comparison chart here for you. So we ended up with just over 2,100 attendees with us in Barcelona. We are excited that the percentage of those attendees from the EMEA region continues to increase. So we had about 71% this year. And I think you can really get a sense of the growth and the scale that we're dealing with our EMEA Summit now when you look at the number of countries represented and the participating companies. So what a big jump we did from 443 last year to 750. 750 different companies were represented at our show. I'm always astounded by this number lately. Our first-time attendees, over 3/4 of them, of the people at the show, were participating in the EMEA Summit for the first time. So that's great. It really shows the growth of the industry, but I think hopefully we can get some retention on those people year after year, and maybe that number will go down a little bit. I did put in our session and speakers just so you can see the growth of the content and how much demand we have for that. And then I really wanted to give a shout out to all the companies. Several of you are on the call today who have supported our EMEA Summits, whether it's a sponsorship or a booth. Those numbers have been increasing as well. And it's with the support of all of you that we are able to host this show. And with that being said, I wanted to mention that the sponsorship sales are open for next year, for 2027. We are in the final contract negotiations with the Hamburg Convention Center, Congress Center. So I hope to have that wrapped up in the next week and we can officially launch the dates. But if anyone is interested in reserving their spot for the show next year, I've got contracts I can send to you. You can just shoot me an email for Raul, and we'd be happy to work with you for next year. Raul, did I miss anything?
No, absolutely. You did a great job, Kaylee. Thank you so much. Many questions?
I will point out that just a few years ago, this show had about 550 people. So now being over 2,000, when I joined OCP about 8 years ago, that was about the size of the global summit. So this was really the first year when I'm walking around the EMEA summit, and it felt different. It used to be this very small, intimate gathering, and now it's definitely got a different feel to it this year. So we're excited about that, and we hope you guys are too.
I wanted to know if you have some insight on the number of attendees that are already using OCP versus the one that are really interested in getting into OCP. What's the ratio between already users and the who are looking forward to use it?
Raul, I don't know. I guess we could look at the registration information and see if there's anything we ask that could give us that.
We usually publish related information about attendance. This is usually a question that we don't cover, but I'm happy to come back to you if you leave your email address on the chat. Happy to come back to you with extended information about our attendance, mostly mapping into companies that we know that they are already deploying.
Yeah, and we published a list of participating companies. So, Raul would be able to, if you had a question about anyone on that list, we would be able to help you out with that. All right. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kaylee. Thank you for joining us today.
Yep.
I think that we are 5 minutes to the top of the hour here. So I'm going to move to the next section, which will be the OCP Europe updates. With all of the, let's say, couple of busy weeks that we had in preparation of the EMEA Summit, honestly, we didn't have the proper chance to catch up. So one of the most important updates that I can give to you, besides the events plan, and actually you can see this where we highlight in bold the events where OCP will be there at capacity, so with a booth and speaking slots and so on. You can see that most of it is revolving, of course, ISC. Well, first of all, Data Cloud, where we will have some OCP members, but mostly volunteers coming from the community. Then next comes ISC, then DCD Accelerated in London, of course, our global summit. And then I think that to close the year in Europe, we will do this with Data Center World Madrid in November. So if you want to know more, you have the QR code here on this slide, or you can actually visit this link here to know more about our upcoming events. Besides this, I have a quick update about the Nordics. So RISE is celebrating the 10th anniversary of the ICE data center, which is a data center mostly used for research in data center, in cooling and power. They are trailblazers in this sense. And we are celebrating with them because this facility is an OCP Experience Center too. So feel free to visit the website here, scan the QR code if you want to know more about the small event that RISE is putting together. I'm not sure if we have Chagatai here in the audience, but maybe Chagatai, you can provide more information about it.
Yes. I'm here. Like, it's basically an open call for anyone who's interested in visiting the ICE data center. As Raul, as you mentioned, it's an OCP Experience Center. Usually, when I discuss about our test beds and or experimental data center, it's really difficult to highlight it all. So I strongly recommend whoever can, you should come and visit the data center and listen about what we are doing and how we can collaborate. Yeah. So. Yeah, you are all welcome.
Thank you, Chagatai. So I'm moving on, and honestly, we are 2 minutes up to the top of the hour. I'm not sure if we have proper time to open the discussion today, but as always, what I wanted to do. Oh, sorry, we have a question coming from Seinat and Nicolas. So go ahead, please.
Sure. I think we have a proposal and organize on the meeting on September 2027 26 in France, in Morlaix, to coordination and a focus group initiative the pre-standardizations of the artificial intelligence with the network in the preparing in relationship on the 6G and 5G standalone. It's very, very important to facilitate the coordinations of discussions and Dell and you Intel and Huawei and your possibility to depose in this date. It's in just we are in information and my propositions. I don't not sure to 7 September at 8 at 9 September 2026 in Morlaix in France.
Okay. So
In just
can
we
you
in
please?
coordination in a focus group I native in ITUT. Just in information
Okay.
for you, Raul.
Thank you for that. If you come back to me directly over email, we'll be happy to discuss with you further. So thank you so much. So we are at the top of the hour. I'm going to jump straight to the call to action as always for newcomers on the call. Join the mailing list of the project, of the European project. Explore the OCP website if you want to know more about the projects. If you are ready to contribute and you are working with our community, you have more information here in this link about the contribution process. I share with you the events calendar where OCP will be around, so feel free to, as always, check the upcoming events. And as we presented today, we have a huge network of experience centers in Europe, so feel free to visit the web link here to know more about the facilities. And without further ado, we are passing 1 minute to the top of the hour. I want to thank you all for joining us today. And thank you so much. Thank you for a great OCP EMEA Summit, the ones that joined us. And I'm looking forward to see you in the next call next month. So I'm going to stop the recording here.